Hi everyone, today I'm here to take you through making your own embellishments. I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos from all these great scrapbookers and paper crafters out there, and been getting a lot of inspiration about how to make your own embellishments, and I've been particularly impressed with the making your own tiles. So I did a video recently about making your own flare, and now it's just taking it into a different shape, I guess, and it's starting to experiment with how you can use different techniques to get a different effect. So I've gone a little bit crazy, as you can see here, but I've made different styles of tiles, lots of different colours, used a few different things underneath the gloss, and I've also used crackle accent to get different effects. So I was going to take you through each of those and then just show you how I've put it together. So the first paper that I used was just this origami paper that I picked up in a paper pack, and there was a couple of different things that I did here. So I'm not sure if you can see there, but I've stamped a butterfly on that, and for that embellishment I actually used the Memento ink, and so it actually bled through the gold pattern on that paper, and so it appeared like it was in the background there. So then what I decided to do was use the StazOn black ink to try a flower, and that actually showed up on the top, so it got quite a different effect just using the two different types of black ink. So the idea with these is to try and use up some of your scraps. So I had this scrap piece of paper, and with that one I just decided to get some of my stamps out and stamp, there's a little bird on there, I'm not sure if you can see that or not, and use crackle accent over the top. Now for these three tiles that I made, they're all using the same technique and actually the same stamp, but it was a bigger stamp and I just picked different pieces to stamp onto each of the three tiles, but now that they match, they can be used on the same project. And I just distressed the edges before I put the crackle accent on, just to give it that weathered look. So I did that with the black soot. So a similar technique again, just using the same stamp set and crackle accent. I've done these ones here. Now they look very different to the original paper that I began with. So this is quite bright and something I really struggle to use on projects, but when you turn it into these with just pieces of the stamp, they look quite pretty. I also use some liquid pearls to just sort of decorate certain areas of the stamped image as well. So these were using, some papers that I probably wouldn't use very often. Now this was a piece I bought a pack that had a whole heap of scrap cardstock in it, and I quite liked it, and I've cut it down and used bits and pieces, but I've only got a small piece left, so I've struggled to use it, so I thought I'd turn it into tiles. And what I've done here is actually distress the edges, but this time I distressed them in a Festive Berries colour from the Tim Holtz range, and then also put a little bit of glitter on the strawberry just to jazz it up before I put the glossy accents over the top. So you can see each time I do it I have a different effect. This was some just a tiny bit of paper that I had left over that I cut into 4 squares, distressed the edges in black ink, and all the pattern was what was on the original paper. This one here is actually this paper here to begin with. I quite like the pattern, but I really struggled to use it again, so I decided to just stamp bits and pieces of images onto that, and then use the black ink to distress, crackle accent over the top. These are with gold stickers, gold foil stickers that I've put on, and then I've glossy accented over the top. And this is exactly the same paper background, but what I've done this time is stamped a camera, distressed the edges in black soot, and then put the crackle accent over the top, and you can see you get a completely different effect with those. These two are probably my favourite. So these ones, I actually love this paper, and this came in this paper pack of scraps that I was telling you about. I picked up from my local craft shop, and I was wondering what I was going to do with this one strip, and I think I'm actually going to turn this whole paper strip into tiles like this. I think they're really pretty, and again I've just put some glitter underneath that crackle accent and distressed the edges. So what I'm going to do is quickly step you through the process for that, and what I've done here is taken a piece of paper, craft paper, that I've actually stamped those blue images onto, and I did that a long time ago, and then I've just taken one Kaisercraft stamp, which is their lamppost stamp, and stamped some of the leafy sort of design onto one corner, and then put the lanterns on in the middle there, so that's kind of the feature. So just some wet craft glue, any craft glue will do, and then what we do is actually paint a piece of chipboard the size of our pattern paper that we want to use, and also the pattern paper as one. So I find it's easier to stamp it before you glue it down. You could stamp it afterwards if you wanted to once it's dry, but I just find it's easier to get your design and then put them all together. Now it is a little bit of a process, and that's why I sort of made so many at once. I'll just pop these away to be used whenever I've got a project coming up that I think that will suit, and I'm keen to sort of make some more, to be honest, and give this technique a bit more of a go and explore more, you know, different inks, what that looks like under different glosses, whether it be the glossy accents or the crackle. Also, you know, how you can affect different colours, and also adding extra to it. So this is the first time I've added the liquid pearls, for example, and the glitter and things like that. So it's interesting to see how that all comes out once you've covered it and it's all dry. So I'm just going to slide these on, and the thing about doing both sides is that you can move it around on the chipboard so you get it in exactly the right spot. And if it doesn't quite fit, the other thing I found is it's easy enough to just trim it all up anyway. So if you need to trim off your paper's too big or your chipboard's too big, you can kind of trim it down. So with these ones, what I'm thinking I'm going to do, just to give it that little bit extra, is take a gel pen and actually just give a little golden light to each of these. So this one will have a few different techniques being used in there. And then what we want to do is cover it with glossy accents. So what I do is I cover one fairly generously. You can see that's probably way too much for that one, but then I'm just going to pick up the next one and slide it across. And so by doing it that way, I actually find it easier to make sure that I spread the glossy accents to the corners, and I find I get less bubbles this way. So it means your fingers get a bit messy, but I don't mind that. And if you just make sure you've got somewhere to put them down at the end. Now because glossy accents is fairly fluid, what you'll find is that you won't have to kind of smooth it out too much, as long as you've got it to the corners and it's spread out on the tile. When you place it flat back, it'll kind of even itself out. So if there's a little bit that's got a little bit more than the rest, that will work out in the end. And then we can just pop those down there like that, and that's it. It's as simple as that to create all these beautiful tiles that can be used to embellish projects. You can make them to match, you can make them slightly different. So you know, these three would look great on the same layout, or maybe they would look great using that little strip of paper and having that as the final sort of touch on the layout or a card. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that video. Thanks for watching, and stay posted because there'll definitely be more of these things happening as I start experimenting more with creating my own embellishments.